Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the San Antonio Soccer Roundtable. Tonight, you're going to have a dynamic duel. We're two guys short. Harry, how you doing?
I'm doing well. I think Scott's still suffering from Germany being worse than Mexico and going out. I think it finally hit him, and so he's out of action. And then Todd was a last minute scratch. Unfortunately, he needed to earn some more brownie points, and we all know Todd. He needs all the brownie points he can get. So
yeah.
So it's just the two of us, but both of us thought it was important to get something out because we did miss last week because unfortunately Scott had something last minute pop up, and then work schedules didn't work together here. So I think we're going to kick it off with some lower league action, and then we will talk the last couple of weeks on San Antonio FC, impressions of the bad game against the OC, and then probably their best game against Real Monarchs. So 0-3 to 4-2 against the best team in the league. So, it's which team shows up. And then we'll probably try to recap a little bit on midseason because SAFC is right around there. So I think between the two of us, we can knock this out. And, when Scott and Todd come back, they'll be able to give their 2 cents.
Yeah, so bear with us. It's just us two today. Hopefully we don't have any technical difficulties here. It seems as easy as just hit record and play. So we'll figure this out. But yeah, man, like you said, let's jump into it. Let's start off with some lower league soccer action. My Laredo Heat lost. My beloved Laredo Heat lost. They lost in the Southern Regional semifinal. They lost to the Little Rock Rangers. It was a tough one, man. I mean, they were down there for a while. They came back and tied it, and they went into overtime. And it just seems that they just ran out of gas or weren't concentrated. I don't know if you had a chance to watch it.
Yeah, I watched the second half because I was a little bit. I was kind of following it on Twitter and saw that Little Rock Rangers were ahead, and and Little Rock's a pretty good team. From Arkansas, and I was kind of surprised though because Laredo, I won't say they weren't tested, but especially at home they were pretty dominant, and especially with the Heat, Little Rock happened to travel down. It was a little bit shocked that it was still 1-0. I think it was late that they ended up tying it as well, and then
in the 86, 87 minutes, something like that.
And then, of course, they gave up the goal in extra time because, to be honest with you, I was kind of looking forward to because the team that they would have faced would have been Chris Tierpak and Miami 2. Yeah,
they would have had to travel down to Laredo.
Would have had to travel back down here. Instead, Little Rock had to travel down to Miami, which they unfortunately lost. But I think that would have been a hell of a matchup to, have Miami, old NASL team that's, got a few semi-pro, probably more pro than semi, on the roster, and having them come down to Laredo. But it's a good season, especially for a first year. And, that's the thing that you have to think about. This was their first year, and to me, like I said here, Laredo's always been a solid to great team. Even when they have a down year, it's not a bad year like most teams.
Yeah, I believe they've almost always made the playoffs. They made the championship game 3 times. They won it once back when they were in the PDL. But yeah, tough loss. Just a shout out to the Baswani family out there, the owners, and keep doing what you're doing, guys out there, especially with the academy. That it's a non-pay to play. So it's the great job they're doing down there. Good luck next year, guys. We'll see you guys next year. Let's move on to some local lower league soccer. So the local teams are having tryouts this month or these next couple of months for the fall season of the UPSL. I know Samba has been hosting tryouts. Mac FC has been hosting some tryouts. I don't know about Borneo. Have they been? I don't know if they're getting people from their previous teams or academy or whatnot. But
I haven't heard a lot. I know I got a couple of quick messages from Samba, and they were encouraged about the players that had tried out. I think I saw a tweet where they were going to keep 9 players from this year's team for the fall. I've been kind of following the UPSL playoffs, and unfortunately, the North Division beat Round Rock, as well as I think Katy lost. Atletico Katy also lost in PKs. I think both of them went extra time. So unfortunately, the UPSL Central South, unfortunately fell in the playoffs, and will be one of the northern teams that advances to the Elite Eight of the UPSL. So.
Yeah, usually when we have Texas teams, we get more invested, but now these Texas or Southern teams, area teams.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised with Atletico Katy, especially where they hosted it at home, to lose. But as we saw, they had a pretty good team, but that's one of the things with UPSL. Sometimes it's hard to see who actually plays and stuff. But
right.
I'm sure the UPSL Central Conference South will be gunning for the North next in the fall when it comes to the playoffs. That way they can reverse it.
Yeah. So, but we should.
Samba will be leading the way.
Oh yeah, especially if they keep that core players. This being their first team, their first year, a lot of players coming in from everywhere. It's kind of hard to get that mesh, that group going. But if they can keep a 9-player group and then just bring in extra pieces where they need to and improve, they should have a good run and make it exciting, especially with all these local rivalries that are going to be forming. Yeah, we won't see the Roadrunners till the spring, right?
Yeah, I think the Roadrunners are going to be in the spring. I know Bernie Thunder is supposed to start in MAC, but MAC FC, which I've only seen on the announcement from UPSL.
I don't think they have a Twitter. I think I've only seen their Facebook page.
Yeah, I think that's all they have is a Facebook. And I'm not on Facebook as much, and I think when I did check it out, it was mostly in Spanish. Which I don't read any, so it makes it hard for me.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes up, and hopefully, these local teams have a good run, and it makes a good keeps the people interested more, especially if it's lower league. They don't have as much of those reflectors focused on them, but if they do well, people are going to start paying attention.
Yeah, I think to me, I think if you could get 200 to 500 people out there, it would be a success.
Mm-hmm.
If you could kind of average that, especially 5 is probably more on the high side.
Yeah.
But if you could get an average of 200 people, I think at least initially they'd be happy. Obviously, they want the numbers to grow. Don't get me wrong. But if and I think 200 people, especially in the fall where hopefully the temperatures are a little bit cooler, depending on how long the season goes.
Yeah.
It won't be so hot and miserable to go out and except I was at the game last night and at Toyota Field, and it was it's just you walking up and down the stairs, you were sweating.
Yeah.
And the poor beer guy, dude, it just
Hey, but at least he has that beer to cool off.
His shirt was it was like he just put a water hose on him. He was sweating so much, but
yeah. All right, so that's a little bit of lower soccer news. Now let's jump over from one end of the soccer spectrum to the biggest platform we can have, which is the World Cup. France wins it. What are your thoughts, man?
I thought I had picked them to go to the finals. Mm-hmm. I thought Germany would win it, and then obviously they flamed out, and that's why Scott's crying. And the scary thing is, I don't think France played its best.
That's what everybody's saying.
I don't think because I'm not a big international football guy, but
mm-hmm.
from my understanding, the coach kind of held them back as far as like play style, compared to how they can play. So if they can win playing, I don't want to say it was ugly football, but it wasn't. But if they can play that controlled and not being able to have it open and free like they want. Watch out next World Cup. And, I know there's a couple other teams that could say that. England's also, I think,
mm-hmm.
I think they will have learned a lot of lessons from this one. Except here, and it'll be interesting to see how Mexico kind of rebounds, locally, how the U.S., because to me, the U.S. is going to have, a good batch of young players that should be kind of mature enough to where, and I know we said this the last time, where qualifications shouldn't be an issue, and to where hey, maybe if you can get to the quarterfinals or semifinals, for the United States, and I wonder if that will be a realistic goal depending on how the team fills out. Because to me, I think as far as talent, they have some, but as far as for a recap of it, I thought Croatia was a hell of a team.
Yeah.
France, like I said here, through them, and you had Belgium and England finishing third and fourth, and like I said here is, I thought they played another solid game, but Belgium's always seems like the team that comes up short, in the big games.
Yeah. My biggest surprise was having Croatia in the final. I mean, usually the final, everybody says that the World Cup doesn't really start to the quarterfinals. That's when the big dogs are playing. The group stages, when all the other teams are participating, that's all great and dandy. But the real World Cup doesn't start to quarterfinals. And man, Croatia from last, I believe last year, did they make it out of the group last year? I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they made. I mean, last World Cup. I don't remember if they did or not.
They barely qualified. The coach that they had was, they almost didn't even qualify. But to me, if you have a midfield like they have, you're going to go pretty far if you can control the ball. And they all had attack, being able to attack in pinpoint passes to where, it evens the odds against the big boys.
Yeah, they did it. They didn't make it out of the group because they were in the group with Mexico and Brazil, and Mexico and Brazil were the ones that make it out of the group in that World Cup. And now 4 years later, roughly about the same players or so, they go up to the final, man. And it's refreshing to see a team that's not your Germany, that's not your Brazil, that's not your Italy's, make it up there, because Croatia to me is in the second tier of, you got those big teams and between second and third maybe before the World Cup, but now I mean it's refreshing to see that a different team make it. And to be honest, I kind of felt that they weren't going to be able to pull it off, but I was still rooting for them.
Well, I think everybody was kind of rooting for them just because they were an underdog. There's no question they were the underdog to France. And I think it just worked out kind of perfectly because France went through the more difficult side of the bracket. There's no argument that can be said with that. And Croatia had some things. I think they played 2 straight PKs, which they won, which I don't memory serves me right. I don't think that ever happened before. And like I said here, and against England, like I said here, I think that went extra time too, right? And,
yeah. So they had 3 games going to overtime.
3
extra time. So,
but to me, I didn't see them being tired as a reason why they lost. In
the first half, they were the better team.
Yeah,
I believe.
And like I said here, I didn't think there were that questionable calls, but other people thought like the penalty was kind of questionable, which
like the Griezmann foul.
That penalty. There were some questionable calls that didn't go their way, and France has that talent and that skill to, if they get an opportunity, they're going to punish you for it, and that's what they did.
Yeah. So the question that everybody's been saying, has this been the best World Cup ever, or that you can recall?
I hate saying that it's the best forever because I'm sure when the World Cup was small, not as many teams. That I think those, like, if we would have the ability to watch them like we do now, it would probably change things, as far as the perception of it. But as far as for the action from game to game to game, despite the poor coverage of Fox, which I think that did a very poor job of covering the event.
Yep.
On the broadcast side, Telemundo was by and far the better option to be able to watch it, even for an English audience. To me, like I said here, just the games, the storylines, the Iran Morocco, group, where to me any other group and they get through, both of them were sitting at home. Argentina squeaking by, which I didn't think that they would do, but and then Argentina was the Vegas of the World Cup, basically, with you just never knew what was gonna happen.
Messi not being able to get it, man, for being the GOAT, as many people call him. He hasn't been able to get it. Anything outside of Barcelona, it seems like he can't make nothing happen outside of Barcelona. Cristiano had an amazing World Cup for considering his age, and I mean, it's not that he's kind of lost a step, but he's still up there, you know. And
then he hijacked it going to Juventus.
Yeah, and you know, who else was a surprising team? You think Russia was
Russia has to be a surprising team for as far as they went, because
hell yeah,
a lot of people didn't think that they would. Well, they had
make it out of the group.
Saudi Arabia in their group. You know, the start out they'd win that one, but nobody thought that they would be as competitive and go as far as they did. And you know, to get lose in PKs is was not a bad way to go out.
Japan had Belgium on the ropes.
Mm-hmm.
They had them on the ropes. Who else would you think?
What do you think of Mexico's?
It's what they always do. They didn't improve, and they didn't go. They didn't go up in their quality, and they didn't go down. It's just they always get out of the group, and that's where they've been the last since '94. So they had a chance to. I think if they would have beat Sweden, they probably could have had an easier matchup instead of facing Brazil. But then again, they've been fairly successful against Brazil recently, so that was kind of considered a favorable matchup. I don't know. I just think for the Brazil match, Juan Carlos Osorio, he was always known for making changes to the team according to the rival he was going to face, and he did not do that against Sweden, and he did not do that against Brazil, and that was his most. Everybody would always criticize him. He always makes changes. It's because he's adjusting to the rival, and now that he doesn't make changes, he's like, why didn't he make changes? You can't win against the Mexican. You can't win against the Mexican press.
Well, I heard he's out, right?
Yeah. They offered him
coming back, right?
They offered him the job again another 4 years, and he refused it. Hasn't been official, but the word is that he refused it. And
supposedly he's in the running for the U.S. job, which would be.
I think the U.S. I think also Colombia might be there interested because they didn't have that much of a good World Cup.
Mm-hmm.
They were expected to do more. So he's from there. So and then I think the two weakest teams would probably be Panama and Tunisia. Other than that, everybody else put up a pretty good fight in most of the games.
Costa Rica really disappointed me.
Yeah, Costa Rica also.
I thought, especially after not last year's, but the last World Cup where they performed very well, probably above what most people thought. I thought that they were below. Panama was first time. I know they got blown out by England, but nothing was expected of them. They were, they scored a goal, which for Panama, is probably a highlight, and the person that scored it will be, a hero down there for doing it. So
those scenes of the people are crying, man, and once that goal, somebody was cutting onions right there.
So like I said here, you're gonna have. We knew they were a weak team. CONCACAF sent a week 3 teams over this one here. So, but to me, I think as far as locally, as far as CONCACAF, Mexico, they got out, which some people didn't think that they would. So they beat Germany. Although I guess the question for you is how big is that win against Germany, given how Germany performed? Does it lose a little bit of that lackluster?
At the time, it was the best thing they have ever done. Now, when you look back at it, after what Germany barely be able to get past Sweden and just not putting the ball in.
Got blown out by Korea.
I mean, they didn't get blown out, but they just couldn't find it. They just didn't have that chemistry. It's the German way. They always find a way to win at the end, and they couldn't do it this time. But yeah, that victory now, it doesn't seem as sweet as it did that day when I was at Ojos Locos, almost crying. But yeah, so pretty good World Cup. Too bad it's another 4 years until we see another one, man. But I think we should have the Nations Cup here coming up for CONCACAF in Europe, and then they have the Euros and the Copa America coming up. So we have good international tournaments coming up. It's just not 4 years and then wait another 4 years. There's also stuff in between that people that want to support their favorite nation team or nations can get into.
So the question is, does Marquez? I think that's what Marquez is the one that made 5. Does he make it 6?
Nah, he just put in his letter of retirement yesterday or 2 days ago. Yeah, he was.
Dude, that dude never goes away.
He does it, but
he's been a thorn in the U.S. side for.
You know who can get 5? Mbappe, if he continues.
Yes.
He can get 5. He can get
19.
He's 19, so the next one he'll be what, 23? 23, and then 27, and then maybe
31, 35. Yeah.
You never know. All right, so that was the World Cup. We also have to announce the winner of our poll that we did. We'll have to reach out to. I'm not sure who won. I haven't checked. I think I won, but
I forgot.
I think I won. I don't know. We gotta check.
I think I know. I was right behind you, and if England would have won, I think you and I would have tied because I had France winning it, and you had France winning it.
Yes.
I think I would have finished 1 point behind you. Actually, I wouldn't have beat you. I'd have finished 1 point behind you if England would have won, but they lost.
You know where I failed? I went with my heart. I put Mexico all the way to the semifinals. I shouldn't have done that. But we'll get in touch with that one person that came in the highest of our listeners and get them those gifts that we promised them here soon.
And then what would be next would be the Heckle and Jide San Antonio FC. So we'll start with the bad, which was Orange County.
Yeah, 3-0 loss, man.
3-0 on the road. The highlight is Diego not getting the red card. That's how bad that game was.
That was the good thing. The only positive, he's not get a red. That's the only good thing positive we have.
He deserved a red. He should have got a red. It was a straight red. There was no question about it.
Yep, straight red. What did you think of the overall play or their lack of play?
It goes back to the lineup, and
all these changes, I believe that you can't mesh. Or what's your thought?
Well, here's the problem. Like, when to me the lineup that they had, and I think and to me it's more the center backs. You had Como and
Christian.
No, it wasn't Christian. I think Como and Sip.
Sip, yes.
And then you had Ryan in there, which to me is a liability there. So to me, you had 2 weak spots, and this isn't against anything against Como. He's a young guy. He's improving. But we're not at the time where we can, where we can experiment with, hey, let's try here, and if we get a tie or we lose one.
But I think that's been Powell's season long, experimenting different lineups, different center back pairings, different midfield, different attackers even.
I don't understand it though. It's not like last year where we had a historical defense that you could get away with not scoring, and if you gave up one, hey, it was all right because you eked it out. And to me, it was just just that whole game. To be honest with you, I just threw it away. I decided not to get mad. I don't think on social media I really was as I wasn't as negative. It was just a game where hey, if we're gonna be 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 team, we're gonna have those results. And if that's the type of team we are, if that's how the season's gonna play out, I'm still gonna support them. I'm not going to be as critical, on there because I don't think it's a lack of, I don't think it's a lack of effort from the players.
Oh no, I'm pretty sure the players go out there to win.
But there's teams that you can see that just give up, and I don't think San Antonio has ever done that, and that's why I think. Going into the Real Monarchs game, I actually felt that they were going to win that one because San Antonio, whenever they're against the back and they need points, they typically get points. The problem is that why can't they do it on a more consistent basis? And then, and I think part of that is us and everybody on social media has talked about is the tactics and the changes, not picking Texas Soccer Radio, I believe, put it, asked, kind of put out, I think it was, I want to say it was them. If not, maybe it was Maximiliano that said, who is our starting 11? You can't name who our starting 11 is.
Ask Todd.
You don't know.
It's a question. Ask Todd question. I think Todd had said something in his recent Monarchs. He's just throwing the dart, see what he hits.
Yeah, that's what it seems like what it was doing. And when you got Larry from Texas Soccer Radio going, hey, this is not a very positive lineup, and they're very positive about San Antonio FC. We tend to be a little bit more negative. They tend to be a little bit more positive, and it works out.
It evens out, yeah.
Here, and like I said here, they do a great job. But to me, when they're starting to question and go, you've got to wonder, hey, did somebody have a talk, kind of sit down with Coach Powell and say, hey, whatever you're doing isn't working. We need to go to plan B, plan C, whatever plan that they're on. We need to pick the best 11, and you knew going against Real Monarchs, one goal wasn't going to cut it. When they got that one goal lead, you knew that you needed more. And I think that's why they kept going forward. And Royce happened to stop by right at the time that Real Monarchs scored. And he's like, hey, they've got to keep pushing because the Monarchs are going to get one. And they got a good one, by special.
But do you think that Powell doesn't put up the best 11 week in and week out?
I don't think he does.
You think he does that?
I don't think he does it on purpose because I think, to me, the reason why I say he can't do that is if you have Ryan as captain, because Ryan is not, not in the top 11. To me, I think they got the perfect back midfield with Ward the defensive mids with Ward and
Lopez.
And Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that's the two that you need in the back, and you saw the advantages of that.
You can throw in Pekka there because right now he's injured.
You can throw Pekka.
Right now he's injured. Yeah, but those three,
Yeah, Pekka's hurt. And to me, McCarthy's finally starting to get time. It was awesome to see him back. I personally like Felix over Sip, but it's close. I'm not going to argue either one. You got King and Cochran on the sides. To me, the back is set, through there. But if you bring Ryan in, it creates a weakness there, and where they got to kind of help cover up. And I know the first goal, was kind of a little bit on Ward, not stopping 55 as. Beloquez, Sebastian. I know his first name. Okay,
so Orange County game. Fuck that shit of a game. Let's throw that out of the way.
Mm-hmm.
It was a shit game. We're gonna have games like that. Fuck it. Didn't they beat us 3-0 here also?
Yep.
Early in the year, so
But the 3-0 here was a little misleading.
Yes.
The first half we were all over them, and Rawls.
It was just not following
up an MLS.
It was, it was like the Laredo Heat game.
The two late goals. So
it was like the Laredo Heat game. They kept going and going, and the goalie was just having one of those days where he's playing lights out. So we lost at home to Orange County. We went there last week. We lost 3-0.
They got outclassed by Orange County, and I think that's the
this past week.
This past week here. I think that's the part that hurt the fan base here is. Usually SAFC is very competitive. Usually they're in it, and this one they had no shot. It was they were a bottom level team, and it showed on that night. Yeah.
Okay, so let's forget about that game. Let's move on. We already started talking about it, but let's move on to the Monarch game. What you think of the lineup? Let's begin with the lineup. We had
I thought the lineup was the best one.
Let me go through it real quick. You had Guzman up top. You had Gordon on the right, Presley on the left. Brian in the middle as attacking midfielder, Bryant. And then you had Lopez and Ward in the defensive mid, center mid. And then you had King on the right, Sip, McCarthy, and Cochran. And then you have Diego in the back. What do you think of that lineup?
I thought it's the best lineup.
Is that the best one we have? Is that the best one we have we can put on the field?
Yeah.
Or would you –
other than a few To me, like I said, the only one that you'd put out maybe, because I think Presley's outplayed Escalante this year.
Mm-hmm.
I think most, as much as I think Escalante's, has the skill to be a better, and he's had some good things, but I don't think he's
lived up to what we expected.
Yeah, I thought he would be the Billy Forbes of this year's team, and he just hasn't done it.
Mm-hmm.
And Billy has big, those are big shoes to fill.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to look at Presley from last year to this year. You just got to love the growth. The one that kind of shocked me was Bryant in the attacking mid spot, but I thought he played perfect.
He held his own.
He held his own.
Yep.
To me, for I think he's 16, maybe 17.
Turning
now.
17 here soon, yeah.
Yeah. So to me, to have the skill to be able to, do that in some of the passes that he did, especially I think it was on the first. I know it was an own goal, but on the one from the first goal, 30-some seconds into the match.
Yeah.
The touch that he had to be able to, help Gordon, to be able to free that up. To me, the only person you put in there would be Caesar, but I don't know if Caesar. I don't know if he has that same ability or that same, same fight that, or not fight, because Caesar does have a lot of fight.
It's energy.
Yeah.
Youthful energy that Brian brings. A lot of people say he's not built ready for the pros or for this level because he's still, you could tell he's kind of a smaller frame kid still, but he makes it up with his quickness, his touch, his vision. So
it's smart.
And you don't really see him go into physical contact. He's smart about that.
Field awareness,
Mm-hmm.
Where he's out on the field, how he interacts with his teammates around him.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying he's not ever in a bad position because it happens,
mm-hmm.
but he's normally in the spots that he needs to be, and he's normally able to read where those in front and even those behind him need to be. And to me, that's why. That's kind of my question. I kind of wish Scott and Todd was here.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see him in that role for the rest of the season, or is it just, kind of, hey, it was – and the one thing that, I want to caution, it's one game. Sacramento, we were all high on it too because we beat Sacramento. Things are going to turn around. It's one game. So we got to see this Wednesday against Colorado, and more importantly, we got to see it against Oklahoma City.
True. The hype train, buddy. We're going all the way to the top. So that surprised. Yeah, the only one that would surprise me there was Brian, like you said. Other than that, it's pretty much a solid lineup. You could probably switch off Escalante here and there, or
the only one that I thought, to me, if I was to make a change, would have been Felix for Sip. That would have been the only change that I would have made. And I know Todd would probably say Bruce over Guzman.
Yeah. You could change Bruce over Guzman or Pekka over Lopez or Ward. I mean, but other than that, that's pretty much our lineup that we should be putting out. Do you think Bryant sticks with that starting row or not? Okay. Yeah, I'd like him to do. But a better question: do you think Powell sticks with this lineup and stops making complete changes from one game to another?
That's the $1 million question. I think he will. He's a smart coach, and as much as I sometimes criticize how defensive he is,
mm-hmm.
For that here, just because I think as a team, that's the first time they've scored more than 2 goals all year. We're 18 games into the season. Going against Colorado Springs, which was 0-0 or 1-1 in Colorado,
mm-hmm.
and the Open Cup was 0-0.
Mm-hmm.
You got to, if you scored 4 goals against one of the best teams in the league, why are you going to change, outside of health or fitness, why are you going to rock the boat? And especially where it's going to be, because, you look at the schedule coming up, you got, this Wednesday, Saturday, mm-hmm. and then, they have Las Dos at home, and then they start, basically in August, they got 6 matches. So
and how many of those at home?
No, most are on the road.
Yeah.
So you got, I think it's August 4th, against LA2 Las Dos. They're on the road in Seattle, which to me is a winnable game.
Yep.
They go to Timbers 2 on a Wednesday, I think it's what. So Seattle is a Saturday game. Timbers 2 is a Wednesday game. They play the following Wednesday in Phoenix. So they get a week between Portland and Phoenix. Then they come back home. They play Swope here on the 25th, and then they play a Wednesday game at RGV on the 29th.
So look at the standings. We're in 10th place right now with this past win yesterday. But looking at the standings, we've only played 18 games, and all the other teams above us have 20 or more games.
Correct.
So that's why we're gonna see a bunch of these games start to jumble up to catch up to these guys. Now we can make a kind of like a short little run here and catch up to them by the time we even out in games played. Maybe sneak up with 6 points. We can sneak up to 7th place, 6th place or so. And
I think the top 5 are pretty solid between Real Monarchs, Phoenix, Orange County, Reno, and SAC. I don't see any of those going down.
No.
6 is Swope Park. Their recent form, they're actually, they're at 32 points, but they're at a -5 goal differential. They played 21 games. Portland 2 are 20 points, and they're 20 games. They're 4 points ahead. They're at 28, and they're in 8. So to me, that's why I think if we can, this week's game is really huge, because if Colorado Springs comes in and wins, that will give them a big 6-point swing. Where if we can win, would still be outside, because we're tied with points, because Colorado Springs will have 8 wins and we'll have 7.
But we still have less games than them played.
Yeah, but we'll still have played 4 less games, and assuming that we can at least get 1 point out of those 4, you jump ahead of them.
Yeah.
The team that you got to kind of worry about is Fresno.
They're on a hot streak, man.
They played 3 games more than us. They're 3 points ahead. But with us having games in hand, but it's all about it goes back to the consistency.
Right.
And I think if you listen to any of the podcasts, here in town, at this point it's time for San Antonio to, hey, are we a playoff team, or are we not a playoff team? Because this next month here, end of July through August, is going to show whether San Antonio is a playoff team or not.
And if you would have asked me before the Monarchs game, I would have said no. Why? Because of the type of play they've been playing, the type of not getting the group playing well. You could lose but play well, and you hadn't seen that until this past game. But like you say, this could be, don't get too excited, because if Pau goes out there and changes half the squad, then what's the point of having these types of game if you're not gonna build that cohesion that you need, So I mean, it proves that the team can play up to the best of them, with the best of them, and beat the best of them. I mean, and I think over the Monarchs, we have a 2-1-1 record over them, over arguably the best team in the West and one of the top 2, 3, 4 of the league in total. So I mean,
yeah,
that may be just a matchup, though. That might be just a matchup thing.
Yeah, because we all know San Antonio struggles to score goals, but they've never scored less than 2 goals against Salt Lake. I don't understand it, because they're typically.
I'll tell you why.
Good.
Because Salt Lake opens up, because they play. Salt Lake plays. They go out there and they play, so they open up. They're not sitting down, bunkering, sending long balls. They're opening up, and that's where we have our guys, Gordon, Presley, Bryant, Guzman, making runs, and they have space to do those runs.
I've noticed that, because we have pretty good success against Phoenix too, and they play a more opening
attacking
style. Yeah. So it's
But if you go against Oklahoma or RGV, and we have we never beat in Oklahoma. They didn't beat us, but we still have a losing record against RGV, and they always bunker down.
So, but to me, the only one that does not work for is Reno.
Yeah.
And Reno Reno just owns us. I wish there was something, outside of that first one where we beat them. I think it was 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
When they first started their first year, and then the last three they've pretty much
yeah.
Well, they swept the 3 games. So to me, like I said here, I think these next 2 are very pivotal this week. You got the Switchbacks on Wednesday,
mm-hmm.
and then you got Oklahoma City, which we've never beat Oklahoma City. They've got the 1 win, 7 ties. So if you're a betting man, bet the tie, because that's typically what happens. But,
bet a tie. We call my bookie.
But Oklahoma City, though, they were a dumpster fire early,
mm-hmm.
But they are on 1, 2, 3. 4.
It seemed for a minute Oklahoma was going to be the worst team in the league. For a minute.
They're on a 7-game unbeaten streak, which they've won 4, including in 3 ties, which they beat us on the 4th of July, or pardon me, they tied us on the 4th of July. They went back home, played Colorado Springs in a tie. They beat Vegas in a 10-goal score fest, 6-4, since we played.
Yes, that was a.
And then they came back and tied Sacramento on the road in Sacramento this past week. So
they're picking it up. They're doing what we need to start doing.
They're stringing it together. They're showing their consistency, and Alex Dixon's been able to put the ball in the net. So these two games are winnable games.
Mm-hmm.
For me personally, I think San Antonio, if they play like they played against Real Monarchs, if they play like they played against Sacramento, where you can see that flash.
Mm-hmm.
But it's to keep that flash burning and to where you get that consistent play, because they've got to get on a roll. You can't keep win 1, lose 1, tie 2. You're not going to make up any ground.
Yeah, and like my inner conspiracy theorist believes that Powell was doing this all along to get everybody do kind of the Spurs way, kind of sneak under the radar, and then pull off. Here in the second half, we're gonna do what we need to do. I want to talk about one more thing. That Charlie Ward goal, man.
That was awesome. I had actually a pretty unique view of that, because
you're right behind the goal, aren't you?
Yeah, our seats are right by the goal.
Are you right behind it, or where are you sitting?
Right to the side of it, on the edge of the box.
Okay.
You could see, the goalie was setting his line,
mm-hmm.
the defenders, and he gave him a thumbs up. But he kept looking at the post, so you could tell that he was worried, and Charlie Ward put it in the spot that he was worried. To me, you could just see it. I think it's Jake Leaker was the goalie for Real Monarchs. He kept looking at the post, and you could kind of say you knew he was worried about it going there, and for Ward to get his first goal in 2.5, 3 years as a professional was outstanding.
It's his first pro goal, right?
First pro goal. So which goal was better?
What a goal!
Or Guzman's, who was number 3 in the top 10 with his little.
Guzman came out and he shout out to Ever Guzman, man. He's a ESPN top 10 San Antonio player. I think him and who was the other one? Tierpak when he was on his butt.
Tierpak on the butt. Mm-hmm.
Yep. So
what a pass! Nobody's gave Lopez credit.
So I got that note.
Pass by Lopez.
I got that note. So Sid gets it in the back. He hits a pass towards Mikey, and he does a first touch to King,
mm-hmm.
and Mikey takes off. Now, at the same time, I think it's Sip who's running by King, and he kind of like draws the defender in, or something happens with the defender where he doesn't follow Mikey, and then King just puts it out there for Mikey, and he heads it out. Now the goalkeeper goes out to try to intercept them, but Mikey has that vision and sees Ever streaking down the middle. And at first, I thought he's gonna strike it, and that's what the defender thought too. He's gonna strike it at first.
Number 40 slid through, yeah.
And he kind of does one of those Zinedine Zidane turns, and just leaves him on the floor and just practically
and just walked it in.
Yeah, just walks it, accompanies it. He could have. You know what I was thinking? I'm like, man, if I was Ever, because I think Bryant came streaking right next to him, I would have just left it up for Bryant. Come on, let the kid have his go, but.
Guzman needs the goals. He needs some love too.
Yeah. But I mean, that was an amazing goal. that pirouette. It looked Zinedine Zidane-esque. So between that one and the Charlie Ward goal, man, I'd give it to Charlie, just
I like
because
Charlie's better, yeah.
just because I think it's more difficult to get it there, and I don't know, man.
He placed it perfectly.
He placed it where he needed to place it, where the keeper was not gonna touch. Did he have a touch on it? I'm not sure.
No.
Yeah, slight, no, nothing. So he placed it where.
To me, I think the keeper to me should have took a step or two, because you could tell he was worried. He just kept looking. It wasn't just one post. He kept looking 2 or 3 times. And usually if he's looking 2 or 3 times, and I don't know if Charlie caught on to that, because you could tell he was, and I don't understand why he didn't take a step, because if he would have took a step over, he might have been able to stop it. But it was a good, it was an awesome shot. It was a perfect shot. And to me, I think any other week, it probably wouldn't been up for goal of the week. But I think with Guzman's, just with being on Sports Center,
you think Guzman wins the goal of the week? I wonder if they have those 2 goals.
They will.
San Antonio goals.
I don't think it'll be both. I think they'll put one.
Either or. That'd be interesting to see if they do both or not.
Because if you do 2, you're going to divide the fan base.
That's true. Well, you can vote multiple times now, so vote and come back. Vote once on your computer, once on your cell phone, once on your iPad, on whatever you can.
And we all know if a Cincinnati player is listed, just mail it in. So
yeah. Those are 2 amazing goals for usually where we don't even score 1 goal at all. I have another thing. What you think about the attendance, man? So I didn't go to the game. I got out of work and I fell asleep. I didn't wake up till 2 a.m. But when we rewatched the game, that stadium looks so empty, especially on the east side.
2 things about the stadium.
Mm-hmm.
Number 1, I don't know what the hell's wrong with the pitch on the side where the players are.
Yeah, where the bench is at.
Yeah,
that's horrible, man. It looks.
It looks horrible. It plays like crap, and I don't know if you were around during the Scorpion years. I don't remember them having issues. You may have had one like early, when they transitioned from the spring to the summer through there. But I don't, outside of major rain, and I don't think we've had any major rain.
Not this year.
We've had some rain, but not major.
Like other years now.
But to where it's so to me, number 1. Number 2, attendance, it's down. There's no way to sugarcoat it. It's down.
Why do you think that is? Do you think the Heat had anything to do with it?
The Heat's gonna affect the common fan.
The fan that doesn't go every game.
Yeah. But I know season ticket members that haven't gone as well that normally go. And I think it's partially the performance on the field. And like I said here, they're season ticket members. They've been season ticket members for 2-3 games. But
seasons.
If the Real Monarchs game was a big game, but I think the perception going in, especially after the Orange County disaster,
it wasn't looking good. Yeah,
wasn't very favorable. So if you had something that, let's say the wife wanted you to do or something along those lines, with it being 100+ degrees, you might lean to, hey, let me just knock it off and
let me skip this game. Yeah,
catch it up. So to me, those are the ones that I think bother me a little bit more. Where, like last year, it was a must go.
Right.
You didn't hear many season ticket members unless it was something major that missed going to the games.
Well, that's because we were up in the rankings. We were up in the standings.
Right. But I think even in 118, I don't think it's as full as it was last year. And I know there's various reasons, and we've got lives. I work 2 jobs, and I've had to miss a day or 2, and I know Todd's changed there, and I know Scott's dealing with some stuff. So And I know you mentioned you've been working,
Yeah.
basically 2 weeks in a row. So life matters,
Mm-hmm.
but to me, like I said here, the performance on the pitch, you can't say, hey, it doesn't matter to the fans, because it does.
It does, yeah.
As much as we say, hey, we support the team, and we all support the team, but are you going to go to the stadium on a 100-degree day if you got other stuff going on? And then to me, the other thing is San Antonio FC putting the same effort in marketing? I see on Twitter they're pretty close, but
Yeah.
I used to remember them more on radios, more going on to sports talk radios, more going on to the news stations. I don't see that as much this year.
Now I do see. Recently, I did see that Diego and Escalante go to the Univision. They have nationwide. They have their own radio station, just like ESPN or whatnot. They have a talk radio station, and the San Antonio station here has a sports talk show with like an hour sports talk show, and they also have like a Facebook page, like a little podcast. And I know Escalante goes on there a lot, and Restrepo, especially during the World Cup. So I mean, they're doing that. But as far as outside of Twitter, I mean, they advertise those hurricanes out, or those margaritas or whatnot.
Sold out. I think I saw Todd say they sold out before the game even started.
Yeah, he said he went into stadium and went to go get one, and they were sold out.
And like I said here, to me, like the 4th of July scarves.
Mm-hmm.
Todd went to order one, and I know Todd went to order one, and they were sold out as well. To me, if you're gonna run these promotions, even if you have to back order them, back order them. Now, as far as for drinks, if you're running a special, you got to at least be able to forecast it to at least halftime.
Yeah.
If you're not making it to the start of the game, that tells me that you didn't forecast very well.
I think that happened too with the micheladas the first time they had them. They ran out real quick. Yeah, they ran out real quick. I know Todd also he's like, oh, let me go get one. And he came back. He's like, nah, they ran out. I'm like, wow.
But, and like I said, that's minor. But if you're going to advertise saying, hey, this is what it is, and you can't deliver to people that arrive around kickoff time, come on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So do you think with the Heat, I was thinking about this, especially with Laredo Heat, when I went down there, they started their play at 8:15. Just to make it more convenient for the fans. Do you think that would be something SAFC would look into, or should try to?
There's that much difference in a half hour between 8 and 8 or 7:30 and 8? I don't. You'd have to almost move it to 8:30, right? But then you're getting out at 10:30, which then it's making later for kids. I know. Well, I guess we'll be able to kind of see this week, because the Switchbacks game starts at 8 o'clock.
Starts at 8 o'clock.
Televised game.
It's gonna be on. It's gonna be on ESPN.
SBNU.
The U. So, Ocho, ESPN Ocho. The U. And the pitch. I had that in my notes too. The pitch. Not looking so. You know what? It kind of looks like that. It kind of looks like the Las Vegas pitch between first and second base, right there. But it's on the side. I don't know. It's weird.
It's like the players just ran up and down on it, which
they don't train. The team doesn't train in the stadium.
But that's
for the most part.
That's where it's at, though.
Yeah.
It's right on that side, and there's spots, throughout the field. But to me, when you got that whole side, and I think there was a play like within the first 5 minutes of the game, you had the players sliding and the sand kicking up, and I was
Gordon was running up and down that. You can see the sand coming behind him.
Yeah, well, it was one where the players got kind of tangled up, and I know it had to do with Gordon and. Was it 45 of Salt Lake that they battled all night, but they got tangled right at midfield, and you could see, I want to say it was Gordon kind of slipped a little bit, and and to me that's a safety issue for the players, because if it's not that natural grass where they're used to, and that's the problem, and why a lot of people don't like playing at Tulsa, or any of the baseball stadiums, is because you go from the natural pitch to the baselines. To me, you're right. It's almost like a baseline where it's that, hey, let's
the grass and has kind of like a little drop off.
Yeah.
And that could, like you said, that could be dangerous if the cleats get stuck or whatever. So hopefully they can get that sorted out here. And so coming up, what do you think? You think we mid-season form? What do you think so far of the season? And do we make the playoffs?
I think they make the playoffs.
Ooh.
And I think they make, but to me, this next month is when they make the playoffs.
It's vital. It's vital to the playoff run. Yes.
Yeah, they've this next month. So if we're having this discussion, by the time when they're playing RGV, which is the 29th
of August,
they'll have played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 games in between now and then.
That's 21 points.
To me, so I think they need to get, we'll say 4 points between Switchbacks and OC. They need 3 points against Los Dos. It's at home. They need the 3 points there. We'll say Seattle? 4 points against Seattle and Timbers. And then I think they need to get.
You don't have him losing.
I don't think any of those are losses.
Man,
the problem is they've only lost 5 times. The only one to them losing, and that's the 22nd against at Phoenix and 25th against Swope. Do you think they lose to Switchbacks at home? I don't.
Shouldn't. At least a tie. At least.
Oklahoma City, we know the result of that one. It's a tie.
A tie, yeah.
But would it shock me with the 4 Oklahoma Cities then if they didn't? I think at some point the odds are somebody's going to win. Because they've
you can't tie forever.
You can't. It's death taxes and ties between Oklahoma City and San Antonio.
Yeah.
They've got to beat Los Angeles, and Los Angeles plays attacking football. They got that was it Efren
Alvarez or something like that. Yeah.
Alvarez that I think it was on Mexico's U20 or
U20, I think U17, something like that.
U17 team, but he's scored 6, 8, 9 goals in a very limited action. Seattle's like Tulsa. They just haven't been able to put it together. And I know it's in Tacoma, which is a baseball stadium. Timbers 2's tough. And that's where I think they'll have a tie if they lose to Timbers. But Timbers 2 hasn't been playing as well as they were earlier in the year. Phoenix is scary.
I think that would be a loss.
But we play them well, though. History.
Well,
sucks,
I mean,
but they got
that's true.
Firepower.
Because I thought Rhino Monarchs were going to be a loss. So,
but to me, let's say, and then you get Swope, which San Antonio always struggles with Swope. But to me, if you could get 4 points between Switchbacks and Oklahoma, 3 points against through there, 11 points if you get another 4 on the Northwest trip. If you can get 3 against Swope or Phoenix, or let's say if you can get 1 point, well,
give them a tie against.
I think you got to get more than 1 point if you're going to make the playoffs. I think you got to get 3 points between one of those 2 games. One's at home and one's on the Phoenix. And then but if you do that, that's 8. So you got 11 points. Heading into the final 3. Which is Phoenix, Swope, and RGV.
3 points RGV for sure. Just on principle.
Well, yeah. So you need the 3 points there. So then, let's say you don't get any points. Let's say you get 1 point between Phoenix and Swope. That gives you 8, 14, 15 points out of 21.
20.
Is that enough?
You're sounding very positive right now.
Is that enough?
It's enough. I think it's enough. I don't think if with the recent consistency or lack of or just seesaw team that we have, I don't know if that's something. I would bet
they need to run like that, though.
Yeah, If they want to, they need that.
Because if you really look at it,
will they do it? I don't know.
Winning 3 times and 3 ties, or 4 times. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 games.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're adding all those points up, we're giving them 1, 2, 3 wins. 1, 2, 3, 4 wins. 1, 2, 3 ties and a loss. To me, that's not. If you can't reach that level, you don't deserve to go to the playoffs, right?
I mean, yeah, but
now the question is, can they do it? That's the question.
They can. They've proven they can beat the best team in the West. Can they stay? Can that? I don't know. I really don't until they show me 2 more games playing at the same level. Then I'm gonna say no, just because of the consistency thing. I'm gonna say no. They can't.
But that's why this week is so important. Mm-hmm. Because they start that stretch right now, because they're going to make up some games, because it's San Antonio's always been able to say, hey, well, we've got games in hand. Mm-hmm. Well, guess what? You're going to start using those games in hands up
real quick. Yeah.
And it's the hottest part of the year. That's the other thing.
Yeah, I believe by the end of August, most of the teams should be equal on games played. So we'll see our position at the end of August will be at our actual position.
But to me, Switchbacks are not a playoff team. Oklahoma City is not a playoff team. Los Angeles is not a playoff team. Seattle is not a playoff team. Timbers 2 is, 6 right now. Phoenix, of course, is top 4. Swope is their playoff team. So you're facing 3 playoffs teams out of these next 8 that are in the playoffs right now, and RGV, which is not.
Yeah. I mean, theoretically, you should be able to come on top in this.
I don't think asking for 15 points out of 8 matches is
a lot. I don't think so either, but
yet it's the consistency, and that's the problem. But if you look at the schedule, this is the go time for for it. But we've also said, hey, that against Tulsa, and we didn't get jack shit. We said that against LA when we went to LA, didn't get we didn't lose. We got a tie. That's the problem. The first RGV game where we all went down 2 and came away with a point. That's the problem with this team, is they play to the level of their competition.
It's now or never. It's now or never, man. Do or die. Throw all the marbles in the pot and see what happens.
Well, we know Todd would be saying, hey, the sky's falling. Scott would be like, hey, no, 8-15, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So, they're the kind of counterbalance of it. So,
so hopefully these guys come back the next time we record, and we sure do miss them because it's just me and you going back at it. So I think that's pretty much it. Do you have anything else to add? Any final thoughts? On your end?
The only final thoughts, please, and I know it's supposed to be hotter than hell again on Wednesday.
It's going to be a later start, though.
It's a later start. They're going to have fireworks to kind of make up from the 4th of July fiasco. Dollar beer night.
Beer night Wednesdays.
They don't run out of dollar beers. It's a national televised game, so let's put on a good audience for the country. If you have the opportunity to go to Oklahoma City, it's a nice 7-hour drive up and 7 hours back. The Czechs and I are going, and probably 1 or 2 are going to go. So we're taking the family up. AJ's all excited about that. But like I said here, we've got, now is the time to support the team.
Yep.
And I kind of had that discussion of hey, the attendance, even though they've underperformed this year, which I think everybody would agree to. As fans, we all need to do our part and show up, and especially if you've already paid for the season ticket, members, use your ticket. If you can't go, find somebody that can, that will, and keep that seat warm and the voices going strong.
All right. Well, the only thing I gotta say is, like you say, come out to the game. again, recapping the World Cup, it was a great World Cup, the best World Cup I've ever seen and since I've been seeing it, it was 1994. That's when I started actually paying attention to it. Mbappe, future best player of the world for the next 10 years or so. And Ronaldo finishes off his career in Juventus in Italy. That's something interesting. But I'm pretty sure we'll get into it as the season goes and the European season comes in. Another thing I want to add, we do have that Premier League fantasy teams. If anybody wants to join it, well, I'm gonna go ahead and retweet it. So all you gotta do is just get the app for the Premier League. There's a fantasy section. Sign up for it, and then we have a code that you can get into our fantasy league. And we'll probably do some sort of gift also at the end of the year. Maybe get everybody together and get a jersey, next year's jersey, because that by the time the Premier League finishes next season for us. So maybe get all together and get the winner the new jersey for next year, which should be an away jersey. And
the new jersey will be an away jersey.
Yeah, so hopefully we can get that for the winner if whoever wants to enter our Premier League. We have 10 months to gather up $86-$70 between us four. So just shout out to Todd and Scott that couldn't make it with us tonight, and hopefully they come back next time we record. Hopefully Todd. And then I believe you started watching Liga. You started to finally pick the team for Liga MX. You're gonna follow.
Yeah, I'm gonna follow Tijuana, and how I got into that is I started following the Unnamed podcast out of San Diego because when 1904 was gonna they actually go down to Tijuana, I guess,
for some games.
Just across.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been able to kind of pick up from there, and I guess they're building on the stadium, and I think Tijuana is going to be my team.
Yeah, and they have a couple of ex-U.S. men's youth teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's something maybe American fans could get it behind. So and I know Todd follows Necaxa, so that would be interesting. I still haven't been able to get Scott to pick a team, so hopefully we can get that here shortly and do a Liga MX podcast or something. But other than that, that's it for us tonight. Glad you could join us. Glad you could hear us. Like, share, get anybody out there to the game on Wednesday. And we'll see you guys to the next one. We're out.